3, 2, 1, 0. Hey, we are live today with Tino, the sophisticated man. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good, brother. How's everything going?
Everything is going well. Just busy week like always. Working my grind and doing some content and doing my. Been getting a lot of um, business for my web design. But I think I told you that last. But
Hmm.
I've been getting a lot of phone calls for that. So that's just been cool, extra money. And I'm actually, taking some time too to like focus on that, doing some cold calling and direct emailing just so I
Yeah.
can get some, or cold emailing to work on getting more clients.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's an
What's up?
adventure. I'm actually hiring a, some guy off Fiverr to do cold calling for me. So I hope that goes well.
Like a VA.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Yeah,
So
that's exciting.
how about you? What's going on with your business and everything? Anything new ventures going on in your life or?
Yeah. Just working on like basically a new coaching program that I've been coming up with, more or less like a boot camp slash just like virtual coaching kind of thing. So getting that, kind of doing the same thing that you're doing, just reaching out for potential clients and making some outreach, making some connections. But it's been a pretty busy month so far.
Mhm. Yeah, I hear you. Well, it's been a busy year, but that's good that things
Yeah.
are busy, right? 'Cause
No,
at least you got
yeah,
stuff going on.
most definitely.
So today we wanna, talk about why it's important to have standards when it comes to your relationships or friendships, because I think it's really important to have the, standards. Otherwise, I think you can be taken advantage of as a guy, and I mean, when you have standards too, you're more confident because you know what type of behaviors you're going to tolerate and what types of behaviors you're not going to tolerate. But what do
Mhm.
you have to say about that?
Yeah, 100%. I would agree. Its standards really dictate in life essentially the things that you're willing to, like Rob said, tolerate, and just kind of like the level of consistency or discipline that you want to have in a certain area with yourself and with other people. And I think that's where I want to maybe jump off with this is understanding that like having standards is one thing with other people, but you still have to first have that, with yourself. And I actually said this in a my last live stream on my channel. One guy was saying how he wanted, he had certain standards for his girlfriend of like, I want attention, I want priority, I want discipline or something else that he mentioned. And I said, well, that's amazing, dude. I hope that happens. But at the same time, you have to start with yourself. Like, are you showing yourself that level of attention? Are you showing yourself that level of priority? Are you showing yourself that level of standard? Because, if we can't do it in our own lives, it's pretty much impossible to tell other people to do the same.
Right, exactly. So you're saying you got to hold yourself accountable for developing your standards and actually going out there and
Mhm.
exercising them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think you gotta practice what you preach, and if you're expecting a certain standard from people, then it should be the same level of standard you have for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you think a lot of guys don't have standards? Do you think like do you think that's where they get lost? Because I remember when I was there, I didn't really even think to set standards for myself or in my life or what even when it came to the type of women I was going to look for type look at behaviors of friends and attitudes of friends, and
Hmm.
I just kind of went with the flow and everything, and I
Yeah.
just found it just really frustrated me because I found myself I'd be hanging out with the wrong people and people who would bring me down, and
Hmm.
sometimes I would put up with it. I
Hmm.
mean, mostly this is back in high school.
Yeah.
You kind of learn from experience, but I
Right.
think it's important to have standards. I mean, even for yourself as well, in going out there and saying when you actually say you're going to go out there and do it, go out there and do it, because I mean, I think it helps you grow not just with your confidence, but it shows to yourself that you can take possible action to go out there and apply that to other areas in your life as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I definitely can relate to that too. I mean, there was a point in my life where I was more the go with the flow kind of person, didn't have high standards, didn't really know that didn't know there's certain things I was expecting from myself and from others. I was definitely there too, and I think a lot of guys are really in that boat of not knowing really what their standards are. And I honestly think that is like a necessary step in every evolution of a man to do that. Like you have to first know, like, you kind of first have to go through it and experience it to find out, hey, I like this, or hey, I don't like this. So I think that's how you create standards by getting that experience.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Like, yeah, and I was saying earlier, kind of like life experiences and everything. I
Yeah,
got,
right.
you got to go out there and test the waters. And I think you develop standards after you go through a situation with, particular people, or you have a situation come up in your life. And
Mm,
from there, that's where you set those standards, and you got to be able
yeah.
to like follow through on them. Because yeah, if you went, if say yeah, you're say you were dating certain girls, and a lot of them you found were just like boring, or didn't have like nothing else to them besides their looks, or
Mm,
they had like mental or drug issues.
yeah.
And I mean, you don't want to deal with that shit because I mean, they can often lead to a bad experience, especially with girls who are women who will bring you down too.
Hmm. Yeah, it's huge. I mean, in just talking with like dating specifically, like guys just have almost no standards when it comes to that. They'll just, the a girl that just has really nice face, a nice body, and gives them attention, they're gonna be like eating that stuff up because they don't know what else that they're looking for. If you're a guy that simply just goes with women based off of how they look, then you're gonna find yourself in a very unfulfilling, at least in my opinion, a very unfulfilling relationship or whatever it is that you want with this girl. Um,
Agreed.
because you're just in it for the physical and you don't know what else you're willing to tolerate. You don't know what you're willing to invite into your life, what kind of value you want her to bring you in your life. So, it really is important that you know the things that you expect for yourself.
Right. I know it's weird out to say like after like my last relationship, like
Hmm.
that's when I kind of developed my standards for the type of woman I wanted to be with if once it comes time to have a relationship again. Because I remember like in my last relationship, I had a girl kind of disrespected me a lot. I
Hmm.
thought I was doing everything properly, and also she was just like very negative
Yeah.
about and very pessimistic about life. And I know like we all kind of have certain situations where we kind of get pessimistic and negative, but like she was the type of person never to like crawl out of that. And plus, like she had like a lot of baggage
Mm.
from her past that she brought into the relationship. So, after that experience, those are some of the standards I set about the type of girl I don't want to get involved with.
Right. Yeah, like it goes back to what we were saying a minute ago. Like it takes that life experience. It takes that sometimes temporary heartbreak or temporary pain in the situation that we're in to realize, yo, I don't want this anymore. Or maybe you notice things that you do like in somebody. Say, you actually want more of this, less of this. So it really just comes from experience. And the more that you kind of know yourself, the more you kind of know the women that you want to surround yourself with, the kind of people you want to surround yourself with, what values you want into your life, what things you feel like are non-negotiables for you. It just makes setting standards that much easier.
hmm No, that's true. I have to say the same would be like I remember too, like in high school, like the type of people I used to hang out with and everything.
Yeah.
Again, they were like very negative people, and they got into a lot of trouble. And I didn't really have any standards. But then I learned from that experience that like just hanging out with them, like these people were just bringing me down and shit. And then like I kind of had a shift in my life where I wanted to take a new direction in that too. So I had to
Hmm.
develop a set of standards for the type of people I wanted to hang out with and
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what happens. Like when you grow as a person and then your personal standards increase, then the type of standards that you have for the people around you will also increase. Like
everything.
if you're trying to, for example, if you're trying to like start a business, or if you're trying to just level up in your own company now, maybe you don't want to be an entrepreneur, but you just want more out of your current situation, and you're around people that just want to stay where they're at and they're stagnant and they don't actually care about growing or progressing their career of any kind, well, that's not the best situation that you can be in. They're going to try to pull you back down to their level the more that you try to improve yourself, because that would be a reflection of like what they're not doing. So it's
Right.
super important to surround yourself with the right people, because it's cliched, that quote that, like, you show me your friends, I'll show you your future, but it really is true.
Right. No, I agree with you, man. Like, like I had to, cut, certain ties with friends, I should say friendships, just because, like, they just weren't they weren't on the same level as me. Like, I developed into someone else who, over the past couple of years. And then, it's weird because, like, even some of the people I met on my journey too, like,
Hmm.
I ended up cutting ties with, because, like, I didn't like, I set standards because, like, they'd always make a plan, and then right when I'm, going to the place, I get a message saying, "Hey, I can't make it out," and I don't
Yeah.
tolerate that stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, luckily, I'm still able to go out and enjoy a night out in the town, but, if I go out to the club or something on my own.
Hmm.
But I just like, I just don't want to be around people who are constantly flaky and, you
Right.
know, and another thing about this person too is he was getting into, like, serious drugs and everything, and
Mm.
that's all he wanted to do all the time, instead of going out, just bar, try to talk to girls and stuff. So he's going to strip clubs and trying to use drugs to get strippers.
Jeez.
And I'm like, I don't. It's like, I don't want to be around people like that. That's, it
Yeah.
was weird because when I first met this person, like, we were on the same level and everything. And so and it just a change. I don't know what caused, but I guess that's just what happens. People change and everything. And so,
Yeah.
like you said, I think your standards change too
They
as you go.
do.
Wouldn't you agree?
No, they definitely do. I think that's a great point that you made, that, when you, like, everybody goes through an evolution. You're never going to be the same person 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And if you are, that's a huge problem. I would look at what you're not doing correctly, because everybody needs to go through some kind of change. But like, yeah, like you said, like, it's either you're growing with people in a similar direction or you're just growing apart. And
Hmm.
everybody has a different evolution and everybody has a different journey in life. And if they don't cross paths with you in the direction that you're going, maybe it's time for them to, do their own thing. Maybe,
Hmm.
find other people that are willing to do what you want to do, and let them kind of go along their way, and they'll just live their life. So it just depends on, what it is that you want and what things you value. And like you said, it's going to change over time. Like, the person that I was 5 years ago, the things that I valued then, it's like totally different than what I value right now.
Hmm.
So it just, being aware of that too, and knowing what your current standards are as opposed to maybe what they were a couple years ago.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah, and sometimes you just got to take time to reflect upon that. But
Yeah.
I even noticed that too. Like, even some of the people I've met too, they kind of, like, just said, "Hey, I'm don't like." It's weird when you met them, like, 'cause they're doing one thing where you guys had a certain thing, then they had a change in their life, and they
Hmm.
started not go mind to go out that much, and they're doing other things, and they're like, "Okay, well, I got other things going on, so I can't."
Yeah.
So that, they can't talk to you anymore. So that's just a part of life.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. It's simply like, it's not a bad thing that you lose people, or a bad thing that this person wants to go down this path, but you don't want to follow them. I think it's just a part of the journey. It's a part of life. And I think everybody I think everybody falls into the issue of just, like, being so attached to someone and being so attached to their memory, or what, like, past experiences you guys have shared, and thinking that that's going to feel that way forever, and you guys are going to
Right.
be in the same kind of relationship forever. And it's just not realistic to think that way, because
Right. Exactly.
I know friends, like you were saying. I had friends from high school, I had friends from college, friends from earlier in my life, where at the time we had a lot in common because we were very young and we did the same things. Maybe we hung out at the same places, we shopped at the same malls and stuff like that. We wore the same, like, similar clothing. We were very similar back then, but now we're almost completely different people. And I haven't really talked to them since. And it's not a bad thing. It's not because I wish them wrong or anything like that. I hope they're doing really well, but it's just a difference in where we're all going. Sometimes people fall off that train, and that's okay.
Right. Exactly. See, and that's it's weird because I'm always used to things just remaining the same, but when things
Yeah.
change, like I have to learn to accept it because I get comfortable with the big kind of keeping going within the flow of things, and then all of a sudden there's like a
Mm,
shift. It's like holy shit,
yeah.
But I guess it's what's happens though. You have to train yourself to adjust to
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think life is all about adjustments, and it's all about being able to pivot at the right times and knowing when, you sense maybe in your mind that this relationship, this person that I'm with, I don't think they're going to be on this journey forever, or I don't think that they're going to be willing to, walk through the fire with me. You got to be aware enough to know, all right, maybe this person isn't supposed to be in my long-term future. So what can I do now? Like just kind of pivoting and learning to adapt to your current situation.
that. Right. And you can kind of, I can kind of, even though this is something similar to change, like, just kind of like with all the prices and gas going up, my rent going up, and I was
Oh
used to
yeah.
like living like paying a certain amount for this, and that's something I had to learn to adjust to. But
Hmm.
at first I was like, oh, fuck, how am I gonna deal with this shit,
Right.
But you always find a way, like when
Hmm.
it's weird because like when change does happen, yeah,
Yeah.
it can be a little scary at first, but there's always like a good reason for change, and you always find a solution to it. I think as long as as long as you can have that realization, you're going to be fine. I think some people, you know, don't don't do certain things because they don't want change.
Hmm.
Because they're not willing to accept what comes along with change.
Yeah. Well, you bring up an awesome point. I think change is almost unavoidable in really any situation, but I think it's up to us whether we change for the better or change for the worse. Because some people, they look at change and they get maybe intimidated by it or they get scared by it and they further and further regress and become a worse version of themselves because of that change. Or you can look at that and be like, all right, well, I gotta level up myself if I want to really adapt to the times that I'm in, or just learn how to become a better version of myself to make that a positive change. So I agree.
Mhm,
I think like change is unavoidable, but it's completely in our control whether it's a positive change or negative change.
mhm, right. Yeah, and at first, like as we can find ourselves stuck in that negativity, but we had the like you said, the choice to bust out of that and everything.
Yeah.
And that's just like that comes with setting that can also be a standard too. Not accepting that the best life for yourself, creating the best life that for yourself, having a standard like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to anything really, like standards for your living, standards for relationships, standards for yourself, for your fitness, for your finances. Like you should have standards for every area of your life. Like what is acceptable, what is the ideal, and what is unacceptable, and what are you not willing to deal with. And I
Hmm.
think if you can have that level of standard for just different areas of your life, then you're in a good position.
Yeah, that's true. I think when you have standards too, sometimes when you're kind of like I say, slacking off a bit, you're gonna reflect on yourself and like say, hey, this is not me. I have this
Yeah.
standard that I had set for myself, and I got to go out there and make that happen. I think
Hmm.
that can help you, with accountability.
Oh, it definitely does. Yeah, it definitely does. Because there's multiple times even in my life where I I have a certain standard and I wanna do it this way, but in the moment, maybe I'm not, like, fully, like, locked into it. So I have to really sit there and, like, think to myself, "Is this the best version of myself if I do this, or is it not?" And kinda just
Hmm.
being reflective like it and just reflecting on it and, really analyzing, "Is this gonna help me move forward or is it gonna hurt me?" So,
Hmm.
even even when even today, like, for myself, I still try to like look at my actions and look at my behaviors and my mindsets and say, is this representing a high standard version of myself or not? So I think it's all self assessment too.
Yeah, no, and that's good to have that because, like I said, it just helps you keep on track of things. It's okay if like we're all gonna kind of just get off our thrown off our path for a bit. But like when you
Yeah.
realize you set these standards for yourself, it's going to help you go out there and get back on your path. I think so. That's another good reason to have standards in your life because it will help you move forward when times are tough and everything. Because you're gonna when you realize like what you're gonna accept for yourself and what you expect of yourself, and you set those standards, it's gonna, like I said, motivate you to like kind of get back on your path when you're dealing with resilience and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree, man. And I refer back to even it was like maybe a couple weeks ago when I had just a whole bunch of things going on at once. I think you and I had a live stream. I had my own live stream that weekend, and then I had like multiple videos that I was filming that weekend as well. So my plate was full that weekend, and
Hmm.
I remember feeling like super tired and just not present in certain moments, just not really like motivated to want to do that all in one go. But
Hmm.
I had to really push myself and look at my own standards and say, you know what, I was really focused on creating content this year. That's something that I'm really holding a standard for myself, and I wanted to do at least 3 videos per week on my channel. Obviously, I want to be consistent with our live streams and the
Hmm.
shows that we do. So I was like, I know that I don't feel like doing it, but because my standard is here, I'm just gonna push through it. And
Hmm.
it ended up being a great, I ended up having really great content from that weekend, but it comes from that standard and knowing I'm not gonna compromise on it just because I don't feel like doing it sometimes.
Hmm. Right, that's true. But and sometimes too, like, and it's okay if like you overwork yourself because you get sometimes we get burnt out,
Yeah,
and so it's okay to like kind of take a break from things, but you got to hold yourself accountable for getting back uh,
sure.
on your path. Because I like I said, I've been doing a lot this year too, and I just had to like take a little break from things. 'Cause I just got excessive burnout to the point where I was just like I'm walking around in the afternoon and I'm tired because I'm
Yeah.
doing my 9 to 5 job, creating content, and
Mhm.
then like working on website stuff, going out with friends, hosting meetup events,
Mhm.
so it can be a lot sometimes, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's okay to like just take a break from some of it. But you gotta like develop have that standard that hey, we are going to achieve this, so we gotta get working again.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's why it's important to have balance too, because it's one thing to have the standard and just like keep going and pushing yourself, which you should do. But like Rob said, sometimes there is a moment where maybe you do burn yourself out and you feel like you're just pulled in so many different directions. At that point, it's okay to give yourself a little bit of rest, a little bit of leeway there. But it's funny too because people define rest in so many different ways. Like when I say that, I'm not saying to go out and like get drunk and get loaded on a weekend and just like go crazy. Rest could simply be just like reading a good book for pleasure or like going for a walk outside through nature or
Hmm.
talking to a loved one that maybe you haven't talked to in a while. So it's just finding what works for you and finding your particular balance, because I think everybody's different. Like if you know, my workload, your workload, somebody else's workload could all be different, and our ability to take on those things at once. So just knowing yourself and just knowing what your balance looks like.
Right, exactly. I know. I'm actually like this week I've been taking a little break from things, and I just wanted you to take some time to reflect upon things, and because
Yeah.
I think that I get so caught up in doing all this work that
Mhm.
I don't take the time to kind of reflect upon things.
Yeah.
So sometimes, right now I'm just kind of just taking a little break from a few things just to kind of reflect because I need to reflect too so I can move forward. And
Hmm.
this is more on like understanding stuff about myself and everything.
Yeah. No, that's very important. Like to have just moments where you kind of just review the work that you have done and the work that you've done on yourself, and have those periods where you just kind of look at it and think, what did I do well here? What did I not do well? How can I continue moving this forward as we go? So yeah, it's having a balance, like we keep saying about being reflective, but also putting in the work at the same time, and just finding out
Hmm.
what works for you.
Hmm. Exactly. I know, because like once you can find that balance too, I think it's gonna create like it's gonna make stuff a lot easier for you.
Yeah,
But if you don't find that balance, there's just gonna be chaos.
right. No, for sure. And I know for me, like I I'll randomly go on trips, like, just maybe 6 or 7 months apart. We're going away in July, this July, to visit my buddy out in Vegas, and like small things like that, just little
Oh,
get.
cool. I might be in Vegas this July, actually.
Really?
Yeah, we'll have to talk about this off the chat.
Yeah. Have to link up, man.
Yeah, I'm long overdue for a Las Vegas trip.
Sure.
Everyone's been talking about going to Las Vegas, and in our meetup group, we were talking about like just having get a small group of people to do Vegas, and I just told my buddy we'll either do like June or July
Yeah.
for Vegas. So
Dude, yeah,
make
for
this
sure.
happen. I'm gonna take a bus out there. I gotta find a bus round trip bus ticket for like $70.
Oh man. That'd be fun though, man. Yeah, let me
Yeah.
know if you're out that way. I think we're going like maybe the middle end of July, so definitely let me know.
Okay, cool. Right, we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, back to the topic here. Get distracted.
Yeah. No, you're good, man.
So, what do you think happens you if a person doesn't develop standards? Like, do you think they're
Mhm.
just going to end up, in a maelstrom of frustration? That they're going to have trouble moving forward. They're just going to continue meeting people who are just going to let them down. Do you think a guy just says, "I with no doesn't develop standards"? Like, do you think that's
Mhm.
going to continue to happen in their lives, and they're not going to move forward too?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things can happen when you don't have standards. And, I've said this before in a lot of my videos, but like when you don't have a certain direction in life, you don't know where you're going, you're very susceptible to kind of just falling for anything and just being manipulated, controlled, just taken advantage of because you don't know what you stand for. So I think by not having standards, you just let's say you're working on something or you're doing something, if a friend calls you or a girl calls you, like you'll drop everything just to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, what's going on? Like, let's hang out." And then it's easy to just go do that because you don't know, okay, from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I'm editing a video or I'm coaching a client or whatever it is. Without that standard, it's a lot easier to be pulled in like so many different directions and just
I
not
agreed. I used to do
going.
that. I used to let
Yeah,
text messages distract me.
for real. It
And I
happens.
don't. I can wait. I realized that at first, like I thought, if a girl texted you, you have to text her back right away because then she wouldn't think you're interested. But
Hmm.
it's good. Like kind of if you're doing what you're doing, do what we're doing, or you text her back and say, "Hey, let's chat later. I'm busy."
Yeah. And that's the same, like, even family members, like, if I'm doing something and I got a family member, like, calling me or texting me, I'll wait until I'm done with what I'm currently working on and then get back to them at a later time. It's not because I'm ignoring them or because I'm just trying to play some game. It's like I'm literally busy, like, right now. And,
Hmm.
and when you respect your time like that, other people will understand and respect it as well. So, it's not 'cause some guys fall into that trap, and maybe you can speak to this too, but, like, they think that, "Well, I should just wait 3 hours to text a girl back because, I gotta seem non-needy and not desperate," but meanwhile, like, they're not doing anything. They're just waiting because they're trying to play, like, a game, but it's like, it's such a difference when you're actually busy and you're just naturally like, sometimes I just forget to text people back until
Hmm.
I check my phone after.
Right. Yeah, it's a good. Well, you know what? I sometimes though I would play that game like I was busy, but that was before I was
Yeah.
busy though. I'm actually
Right.
really busy now. So
Mhm.
like but if I will wait sometimes, like just if I'm in the middle of doing something, or
Yeah.
I won't respond right away. I won't respond like right away, but I might respond within like 15 to 20 minutes, until once I
Mhm.
kind of get something all chopped up,
Yeah.
but yeah, but I think if you are busy, it's gonna show. Like I don't know.
Mhm.
Do you think a girl's gonna pick up on that energy if if you're faking busy, but versus like you're not busy when you're trying to fake? I mean, versus you are busy. I'm sorry.
I think after a while she will. Like if you're just playing an act in the beginning and just like waiting hours on end, but then like she finally gets to know you and she's like, "Wow, this guy really doesn't have a lot he's working on." And then she's probably going to eventually piece together, "Well, he doesn't work on anything. I'm usually his main priority. So why is he waiting this long to text me?" And she's going to probably figure it out if she's at least somewhat aware of how that stuff goes. In my opinion, it's just better to actually be busy, like to have real things that you're working on. So that way, when that does happen, you're not playing games. You're respecting your standards and your time. So when you actually get down the line with a girl, she's gonna see, oh wow, like he is working on these things. He is working on himself. This is the stuff that he's doing when he's waiting to text me back. Like I see that now. And she's actually gonna
Mhm.
have more attraction for you. So I think in the beginning, maybe you can get away with like a short term thing if you're not actually busy. But eventually I think you will be figured out.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's a girl I'm seeing now, and she knows I'm busy, so she's
Yeah.
afraid to text me because she thinks I'm busy, and I'd like disrupt
Right.
you to text me. I'll text you whenever I can call, whenever I get back to you.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah, I mean, that's what happens, like, same thing for me, like, I have a girl that I'm talking to right now, and, she'll always ask me to hang out, like, during the week, and I told her, like, "Hey, look, I'm busy during the week, I typically Monday through Friday, I can't really do anything outside of the weekend," and I'll tell her, like, "I can't hang out, I can't do this right now," and, she wants to see me, so she's a little disappointed, but she knows that I have things going on, that I'm working on all these different things, and she's even told me, she's like, "I really respect that you're doing that. I think it's really sexy." And she likes the fact that sometimes I just have to tell her no, and I can't be that available because I have other priorities. And women love that stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true, and yeah, but I mean, as long as you have that going on, yeah, that's gonna appear like that energy is gonna appear when you communicate that to the woman. She's gonna know you're
Right.
busy. And yeah, they do like that. They like that you have a purpose. They like that you got something you're striving for. It shows that you're not going to give them all your attention.
Exactly. Exactly. Because if you do that, then like when a girl, it sounds messed up, but like when a girl knows that you put all your energy invested into her and you have like nothing outside of that, she's gonna she's gonna mess with you, man. She knows that she has you by the balls, and, like,
Hmm.
women just don't want to be in that position because she's like, "Oh, well, this guy's just easy." I could say whatever I want, and he's gonna pretty much do it. So don't be that guy because I was that guy at one point, and it's not a good place to be.
Hmm. Well, and there are those girls out there, like if you are busy, because they really want your attention. They won't want nothing to do with you. I met some girls
Yeah.
like where I actually had something they wanted to get together on the same exact day that we matched, yet I already
Mhm.
had something going on that night. And because I
Yeah.
couldn't, cater to them, they're like, okay, well, you're not interested in me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
Red
think
flag.
that happens too, and honestly, it goes back to standards as well. So if you really are working on things outside of women and you have these goals, you have things that you're doing. I know for me, like I don't have patience for a girl like that. So I wouldn't even want to see a girl who if I have to tell her no or if I have to tell her, "Hey, look, I love to see you, but I'm really working on this tonight." If she gets upset at that and doesn't wanna see me, then she's not for me, and, I take that as a standard for who I allow into my life because the people that I want are gonna understand and gonna be excited when I eventually do see them. So, again,
Hmm.
I think it really even just comes back to standards for that too.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Now, so we talked about standards for dating. We talked about we did stuff for like just your mindset. Like, what do you think are some if you had to like think of like two or three important standards that every guy should have, what do you think they would be?
Mm,
Good question.
that is a good question. 2 or 3. Oh man, that's a tough one. If I had to just pick three,
Well, just pick one or two, then we'll make it easier. It's a
I
pretty
would
deep
say,
question.
yeah, I would say, well, definitely standards for relationships, just period, like just who you allow into your life. I think
Hmm.
that's probably one or two on that list, and then standards for probably just standards for your
Yourself, like maybe your goals or something,
your
or your
yeah,
mindset.
along those lines, like something involving yourself. I was trying to like get specific with it. Yeah, I would say like your goals, like know exactly what it is that you're trying to pursue in life, and create that priority, create that urgency, and really those two things work off of each other. When you have standards for yourself and you know what you're working on, you know where you're spending your time, you know where you're managing your schedule and stuff like that, then the people from in your life are a reflection of that. So it really just kind of works hand in hand, I think.
Hmm. Right. No, that's true. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like, definitely no standards for relationships and who you're going to hang out with. That's like, that's
Yeah.
me. That's like, would be my number one. And then just like having standards for your personal development and stuff like that. I believe it's important just to kind of help you like keep on track and everything.
Yeah.
So, and I think, we just, again, that's when it comes to our standards, like we got to, again, think about like our experiences we've had in life and set our standards from there. We actually should take the time to write down these standards because I don't know. I think having standards too can really make a guy appear complicated. I mean, not confident. I mean, and
Hmm.
sophisticated.
Oh yeah.
Sophisticated.
Complicated. I knew what you meant though. But yeah, 100%. Like when you have the standards, I mean, you're gonna feel confident about having certain things that you don't tolerate. It's just funny the way that works. It's like when you have those boundaries and when you know exactly where you're spending your time and who you want to spend your time with, it just gives you that level of authority and you speak with more conviction and you believe what you're saying because you have that standard for it and you have that level of tolerance because you know where you know what you're willing to tolerate. So
Hmm.
it builds massive confidence, I think.
Well, yeah, and then I mean, plus it's something that's coming from within. You know what I'm saying? Because you
Right,
develop
right.
those standards from within. When it comes to exercising that, stuff in the external world comes up, you're not going to let that shit get you down. If
Mhm.
you meet a girl who doesn't match your standards, who's treating you with disrespect, if you have a friend who's disrespecting you in a way that you don't like, you're gonna be able to leave that situation a lot more easier compared to if you didn't have standards where you're gonna because you didn't set standards for yourself, you're gonna continue to deal with the same bullshit and you're gonna lose your confidence.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up. The fact that these are internal standards, ones that you set. Like don't listen to what I'm saying. Don't listen to what Rob's saying. Like we all have separate standards. We all have our own unique set of standards. So you have to really listen to yourself and know, listen to your gut. What do you feel is right? And know what things you're willing to set a boundary around or what things you're willing to have a standard around because that's what's going to give you the biggest level of confidence when you can really dig inside of yourself and know and live your life accordingly. It really is. It really gives you all that confidence.
No, and I like what you just said. Yeah, we have our own separate standards. Like my standards could be different from yours, and so
Right.
it's important that you figure out what your standards are,
Mhm.
rather than take someone else's standards and apply them to your life.
Exactly. Yeah, because like I can't sit up here and tell you guys like you need to have this kind of standard. You need to have this standard. You need to go to the gym. You need to do this. You need to do that. You got to figure that out for yourself. And any creator that kind of talks about I'm not gonna make a video about like the 5 standards in life that every man needs. Like maybe that applies for me, but for you
Hmm.
it might be slightly different. So you got to figure out what
Right.
what your unique set is.
Exactly. And that's why my question about like what do you think the five standards would be was kind of like a bad one because everyone was different.
Yeah, like, and it's funny the way that we answered it too, because like we pretty much said like for your relationships and for your self development, your life, it's like it's kind of a vague answer, but to be honest, like I can't really speak for somebody else's standards. You're gonna have to figure that out for yourself.
Hmm. No, that comes with everything too. Like, we have our own, routine. We have our own way of talking to girls. You got to
Right.
figure out your own way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
See what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and see, because everyone's at a different level and everyone has a different personality.
Right.
We're not all the same.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. It's just about finding out who you are and knowing what kind of things are important to you. And it's a powerful place to be in. And it gives you confidence, clarity, it gives you competence, it gives you self-esteem. Like it just kind of fixes everything, to be honest.
Hmm. Right. No, that's true. And I think like once you set your own standards and everything, like you will have more clarity about yourself and
Yeah.
just you'll be able to set, the certain standards you have for other people as well. And I think this is really gonna help you move forward. And rather if you didn't have standards, like you're just gonna find yourself dealing with the same shit all the time.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
know
So
when do you
that,
think like a lot of guys don't have standards though? Like, do you think some guy? I'm not saying a lot, but do you think some guys don't have standards?
oh yeah, most definitely. I feel like I feel like most modern men, like in this society that we live in, most of them don't have standards and they're willing to kind of just tolerate anything because they don't stand for something. So I would say that's kind of the majority right now. I would say like most guys just don't have certain standards, and I see I see a lot of it.
Yeah, but why do you think that is? Is that just because is it just lack of understanding of the self or insecurity? What do you?
Mm, I think it's pretty layered. I think there's a lot of reasons, but the biggest one is what you just said, a lack of understanding of who they are and a lack of understanding of what kind of life they actually want to live. I think we're just so influenced by the media, by our parents, by our friends, by just people around us, media, music, like anything really, telling us this is the life you need to live. This is the kind of women that you need to be with. This is the kind of money you need to make. And we don't articulate that for ourselves and know what does success look like for you? Because again, it goes back to everybody's different. So my success is going to be different than your success. And like our
Mm-hmm.
success is going to be different than somebody else watching this. So you got to know who you are to a core level. And then from
Mm-hmm.
there, you really create your standards.
And do you think that's so like you're saying like society and media like
Mhm.
sets the ideal standard for people men you're saying when and it's keeping men from having them figure out their own standards and what they should
Mhm.
want in life.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is. It is,
Yeah,
man.
that's a good observation. Yeah, that's no, and I can see that too. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, it's like it's kind of all over the place when you really like look at it. It's like, all these songs that talk about getting money and fucking bitches and doing this and doing that, and then you look at the media. It's funny because we made a previous live stream talking about this with like some movies kind of portraying men
oh yeah, that's
to
right.
be
Yeah,
like a certain way.
I'm gonna put it for 43, 46. I'll put the card in.
Yeah,
Make a note here quickly.
because it's like that too. I mean, certain movies and stuff give the impression of how men should be, and most of the time in movies, it's the guy who's like super like passive. He's soft. He's like simping over a girl, right? And he's kind of chasing her.
Yeah.
And eventually, he gets her, and eventually, he has an awesome relationship with her. But if you really pay attention in those movies, a lot of the times, the guy that is like that doesn't have anything else going on. He doesn't have priorities. He doesn't have a mission, a purpose. He doesn't have any goals besides just getting this one girl. And like
Hmm.
eventually in the movie, he's with her, but it's like it's just it's not realistic at all. Because if you really do that in real life, you're gonna be like the girl's gonna like know that you're needy.
Right. No, and that's why you gotta, as guys, we gotta have other stuff going on in our lives and not just make women like the main objective. And there's some guys out there who do that because that's just
Yeah.
what they think is gonna bring them happiness,
Hmm.
instead of looking in from within to see what's gonna bring them happiness and seeing what they want to create for themselves.
Right.
And when they fail to do that, they'll just become dependent upon other people. That's sad. That is really
Yeah.
sad, though.
It is sad. It is sad, and I've met a lot of people that are like that. You know, I know just off the top of my head, I know a girl that she used to date one of my best friends, and she was the type of person who was like constantly in a relationship. Like she needed to be with somebody because the thought of being alone and being by herself to reflect and really figure out what she wanted in life and really figure out who she was scary. And
Mhm.
a lot of people are scared of that. A lot of people are scared to just sit with themselves, be alone, understand who they are, and just have that reflect back to them. So, and men do this too. It's not just with women. Men do this as well, where we feel codependent on somebody because we're so afraid to look inside and figure out what we want and who we really are, that we just completely lose ourselves in other people. And
Mhm.
it is sad. It's sad, but it really does happen in
And
society.
when and when you do that too, and like the that other person knows that they can pull the strings and manipulate you too.
Right.
And that's why you got to learn uh just to become independent and not dependent upon others, because I think you have more freedom as a man when you are independent and don't have to rely on other people.
Yeah. No, you definitely are. And I think that's why there's so many like toxic relationships nowadays. And there's just people that are together, just they're not together for the right reasons. They're just together because maybe, the sex is really good, or maybe they think they're really attractive physically, or maybe they did have some passion early on, but later in the relationship it ran stale, but they just don't feel like breaking that person's heart or just breaking up with them. They'd rather be in a less than ideal relationship because they don't know any better. But like
Mhm.
when you really know yourself and when you really know the standards you have in your life, even if that's a hard conversation to have, you're not going to just stay with somebody because it's easy or because it's convenient. You're going to make that hard decision.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's rough making those hard decisions, but you gotta do it
Sure.
though. That's a sign of maturity as a guy when you can make those hard decisions and not
Yeah.
have to rely on other people.
Mhm. 100%, man. And it's it's sad because there's a lot of guys out there today that they're very dependent on other people. Mainly their either their girlfriend or I'd say their mother. Like I'm not even excluded from this still. Like I still live at home, so I'm still
Mhm.
trying to eventually move out and do my own thing, but I've seen this where a lot of guys are still living at home and they have no intention to move out, or they have no intention to like venture out on their own path, and they're so dependent on the people like their family and their friends to basically figure their life out for them, but
Mhm.
it's just not going to happen that way.
Right. No, that's true, man. You gotta, I just again that you mature once you develop that independence, but sometimes it just takes a little while to have that independence. So like it
Yeah.
just there can be certain life factors. I mean, you can't use that as an excuse, but as long as you're putting in the work, you sometimes things just take time.
Yeah.
And also mindsets too. Like you got to learn to have how to have that mindset to say, well, hey, I don't want to, be direct with someone and say, hey, I don't want you in my life anymore.
Mhm.
And you got to be comfortable with that decision. It can be a little uncomfortable at first, but sometimes it's the right thing because it's going to save that person that a lot of times save you time, and that person, and you're going to move forward and continue to develop and get what you want, and that person will eventually will, and you're saving the frustration like later on down the road.
Mhm. Yeah, a 1,000%, and I'm glad you bring that up because it's not like we're telling you to just completely be a dick and just ruin people's lives and just like when you're cutting them off, be mean and just like disrespectful and aggressive. Like you don't have to do any of that. It's being respectful of your time, but also allowing that person to grow and mature in their way as well. Because if you
Mhm.
just you stick with this person, you latch on to them more than it needs to, you're not only wasting your time, you're wasting theirs because they're not like imagine being with somebody who deep down knows that they don't want to be with you or they know that there's no like long-term future and it could be women, friends, whoever. Imagine being that person who is on the opposite end of it. Like you're the person that doesn't think there's a problem, doesn't think that there's anything wrong, but the other person wants to leave you. Like wouldn't you rather they just kind of give you that temporary heartbreak or that temporary pain for long-term pleasure than have it just wait out till we eventually have to find out, or maybe you never find out and it's always going to be in the back of your mind like, man, I don't think this person really wants me in their life. I'd rather know up front.
Mhm. Well, yeah, and I'd rather, I wish more people can just be direct like that, but it's hard.
It's hard.
I'd rather someone tell me, "Hey, if you don't want me, then goodbye,"
Yeah.
whether it be guy, girl, or someone.
Hmm. Yeah, it's hard. It's not an easy conversation to have by any means. And I have enough experience in life where I've had a lot of people in my life that I talked to at one point, a lot of friends, a lot of girls that I thought were going to be around for quite a while, but I find out that there isn't really a good fit for them in my life,
Mhm.
or vice versa. Like I'm not a good fit for what they're doing. They're not a good fit for what I'm doing, and you just have to be okay with letting people go and letting them kind of grow in their own way. And if it has to be a conversation, sometimes you need to have that conversation, but sometimes it's just limiting your time and just saying, hey, look, I'm busy this weekend, like I don't think we're going to be able to hang out, and just gradually weaning yourself off of them. But every situation's different and you just got to know what the best form of approach is.
Mhm. Right. No, that's very true. Yeah, that's how you kind of figure out where you're gonna go and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just like just more that's just another standard you gotta set for yourself.
Exactly. It all comes back to that. It really all comes back to the standards and knowing who you are and what you want out of life. It really dictates everything from there.
Mhm. Right. So you have anything you wanna say before we, end the show here? Sum up everything and let people know
Yeah.
where they can find you?
Yeah, I mean, in closing, I think most important thing is just to know exactly what it is in your life that you like, what do you want, what do you not want? What things are you non-negotiable on, or you just have a hard boundary with? And the more that you know the more that you know yourself, the more that you'll know what it is that you naturally want out of life. So take that time to be reflective, because that's what's going to help you create those standards. So
Mhm. Well
that's
said.
that's pretty much it, man. Yeah.
No, that's very good. Yeah, I'd have to close with the same thing. Yeah, take time to kind
Yeah.
of reflect, figure out your standards because they will help guide you on your path as a man, your journey, or I should say.
Hmm.
And it was, set you up for like success and everything to help you deal with all the way the world people are, the world, just help with the external world, I should say, just having standards.
Hmm.
And you really, in the end, you'll be more confident because when you have standards, you're not going to get down on yourself all the time.
Right. Well said.
Rock and roll. So where can everyone find you?
Yeah, guys, my YouTube channel is The Sophisticated Man. If you just type that up on YouTube, you should find me. And Instagram's Tino underscore Regano, Rigano. And yeah, you can find my website, thesophisticatedman.net. Kind of just search it up too.
Rock on. Okay, well, thank you very much, buddy. And yeah, if you guys be sure to like this and share the video with your friends if you enjoyed it, which I'm sure you will because we gave you some kick-ass information.
A lot of stuff
And
in there.
we will see you on here. I don't know if we're going to be able to do another show this month because the weekend that we were supposed to get together again. I have friends coming in from town that weekend, so we
Mm,
probably won't be back on until April unless we figure something out. But
okay.
thank you very much for joining, and yeah, we look forward to having you back on the show again.
100%, man. Thanks for having me.